Hey guys, Dr. Andre Pinesett here, the Premed productivity expert, and today we're talking about, does submitting your medical school application early matter? And if it does, what is considered early? I'll give you guys a second to hop on here. We are live on YouTube. Couple seconds. In the meantime, it's a beautiful week this week. I'm in sunny San Diego. Hope you guys all had a good Memorial Day weekend. To say, does it matter if you submit your application early? It 1000% matters if you submit your application early. You should absolutely submit your application as early as possible. It makes a huge difference. George, what is up? Casey, what is up? How's it going? It makes a huge difference in your chances of getting interviews. And the reason submitting early is so important is because unlike college admissions, where it's kind of like they'll consider people throughout the process and there aren't interviews, it's just like an acceptance. What's up, Marquise? With medical school applications, there's actually rolling interview invites and rolling admissions. And so when you submit early, you get into the early consideration pile and you're in that early bunch of interviews sent out. Emin, what is up? Kai Hodges, hello. Right? So you want to be in that early group of piles so that way you're in the first round of consideration for interviews. And I want to take a step back because before we answer, right, we've already said it matters that you submit your application early. I'm going to go in and talk about all the reasons why. But the first thing I think we should figure out is, what does it mean to submit your application early? And kind of what inspired this video is, if you guys don't know, I'm having a medical school application and personal statement workshop this Saturday. You can get the link on my events page on my website, premedproductivity.com. Omid, what is up? Terry, hey. But people have been emailing me saying, why are you doing this workshop right now? I'm trying to submit my application June 1st. You're doing this workshop June 3rd. This is not going to work for me. And what I want to express to you guys is, when people say early application submission, I think it's so important that you guys are on top of it and you guys are, ready to submit June 1st. But when we say early, what we mean is the first 2 weeks of June. It's a big distinction. So as long as you're submitting your application in that first week, in that first week and a half, then you're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. You're going to be in that first group. Okay? When we talk about submitting late, we're talking about anybody submitting like early-ish is like July, and then late is August. If you're thinking about submitting your application in August, in my book, that is too late. I try to advise my students, if you can avoid it, submit earlier than that, because it really will affect your chances. But when we say early, we're not saying June 1st has to be the date. But if you got everything together, everything's ready, submit June 1st. But really, when people say early, they mean that first week, the first 2 weeks of June. That's when you want to get your application in, because that's the early consideration period. And why it doesn't matter if you get in the first part of June versus like the first 2 weeks of June is that a lot of medical schools will not necessarily evaluate applications right when that first bundle comes in. A lot of times they like to wait for 2 uploads of applications to get verified and come to them. That way they have at least a broader selection and they aren't just looking at this narrow lens of people who submit the first day. So it actually gives you a couple weeks to get your application together and get it submitted. So if that makes sense to everybody. So the reasons why it's important to submit it early is, one, because it's rolling admissions. So hi from South Africa, I like it. Hello, South Africa, Ottawa. You want to make sure that your application's in that early set of couple piles that they're going to review, because early on they have tons of interviews to give out. And so they're going to be less selective. Later on in the application cycle, they've already given out a bunch of interview invites, so they have to be more selective because they can't interview everybody. They can only interview so many people. And so they don't want to use up their last spots on a questionable candidate. So if you submit early, they're more likely to give you the benefit of the doubt because they'll have more spots. And also, they'll give you the benefit of the doubt because if you're submitting early, that means you had the foresight to get your life together, to get everything together, to have everything submitted, to get it early. And so, Nicole, and I think, Nicole, you've been emailing me. I am going to run out some stuff for what you should do once you're into medical school and how you can succeed in medical school, and step 1 and step 2 and classes and all that kind of stuff, and getting into residency and residency application. So that stuff is coming, Nicole. Have no fear. It is coming. But real quick, so in those early piles, give you consideration, all that kind of stuff. The other thing is, when you submit early, right, compared to submitting late, is that schools actually run out of interviews. And so I've seen this happen where students have applied late, August, September, get no interview invites. Then the following year, they apply in June, and they get interview invites all over the country. And what happened is they waited too long and they weren't even considered. Their application wasn't even looked at by a lot of schools, so they had no chance of getting an interview. And that's how serious submitting late can affect your chances. So submit early, What is early? It's the first 2 weeks of June. That's when you want to be submitted. All right? So that's a quick, easy little question. People send that all the time. So I thought we'd get to it, submit the first couple weeks of June. I have to go back to the operating room, so I'm going to answer one question. The first question I get, Samantha, sorry you can't be with us today in chem lecture, but you're going to catch recurrent vision later. I like it. Brian, what is up? Chocolate Kisses, hello. Brian, what if I won't be applying until next year? Should I still go to the seminar? So Brian, that's an excellent question. I would absolutely come to the seminar this Saturday. If you guys didn't hear the first part, I'm doing a medical school application personal statement workshop on Saturday. If you're applying next year, it's always great to go to this session early, because then you'll have a plan for when you start planning out your year. And what we're actually gonna go through in this session is kind of a timeline as well. So part of it's going to be actually application strategy, but also we're going to talk about the setup and how you put yourself in a great position to have the perfect application in the year leading up to when you're going to submit. And so actually getting your application together starts well early into the year. And we're going to talk about some strategies, some key points for getting all that stuff in order. So that way when you go to submit, okay, so of course I got a phone call that interrupted this feed, but that's actually my cue. So I got to go, guys. But I will get to that. But if you guys are applying next year, you should absolutely come to the seminar. It's just information. Come get it. You can work on your personal statement, all that kind of good stuff. I've got to run. You guys have an excellent day, and I will be back live with you guys later on tonight. At some point, I'm on call. So at some point tonight, I'll be coming back to you guys live from the hospital. So have a great rest of your day. As always, check out my website, premedproductivity.com. Send me an email, your questions, and get back on the feed tonight when I get back on. I'm sorry, guys, about having to go, but I got to go actually take care of patients. Got to do my job. All right? Have a good one, guys.